Coming up on this episode of Latinas, we'll celebrate love, Afrolatinidad, and so much more. Latinas starts now. Welcome to Latinas, the only Emmy-nominated show that's all about nosotras, created by nosotras, and I'm Tinabeth Piña. It's Black History Month, and today we're at the Caribbean Cultural Center African Diaspora Institute, a gem of a place that's celebrating 50 years of honoring the global African community. This is a space where history is preserved, culture is celebrated, and Afrolatinidad is front and center. Producer Andrea Ortega-Williams gives us a closer look.
The center is immediately recognized for bringing this tradition out of the basement, for accurately portraying this tradition through an Afrocentric lens, through an accurate lens.
Shango is about truth. Shango is about balance.
We were founded in 1976 by Dr. Marta Moreno Vega, who happens to be my aunt. And my mother, Laura Moreno, worked very closely with Marta at the beginning of the center. Marta felt the creation of an organization like this would allow folks to come together and see ourselves mirrored in one another's faces, no matter where in the diaspora we were from. And so whether you're from Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Trinidad, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, we do know that the root culture is Africa and that we share more in common than we do different.
For Melody Capote, the executive director of the center, a connection to African roots was instilled from a young age.
My mother was also a Black Puerto Rican woman, and she always spoke about that part of her family and her lineage with such pride. We were all very mixed and different in shades and hues in our family, but also there was always this sense of pride in lifting what Black contributions meant. We have a very significant pillar of our work that is the spirituality work that we do on African traditional religions, particularly the Orisha practice, known in many communities as Santeria or Voodoo, Candomblé in Brazil. These have always been practices that have been hidden and kept in basements and things that folks haven't wanted to talk about.
Enslaved Africans brought ancestral religions across the diaspora, where they were vilified and even outlawed. That legacy of suppression is one that CCCADI continues to counter.
Because we have offered a space for traditional leaders and practitioners to come together and have these conversations, we are recognized as an institution that has accurately portrayed this tradition. And so through the programming that we do here, exhibitions, conversations, and concerts and conferences that we've held, we allow for a platform of learning that is for all ages.
It's history, it's culture, it's identity, it's all these other things. And I feel like when I started seeing it through the archives, as well as all the many things that we've done as an organization, it just made me feel more firm in who I am and where I'm going.
We are now at a point where we are uncovering our archives, 50 years of documentation, everything from videos, photos, slides, papers, magazines. We're also encouraging folks to go back and look at their own archives. So look at the photo albums, ask the questions. So the process has been really beautiful because folks are coming in who have had a long history with the organization, so they come in asking for a particular thing or remembering a particular moment or event. And others are coming in saying, wait, what, you were talking about Afro-Latinos in 1990?
Race is how you come into the world. Culture is what we learn, and we have chosen to remain who we are.
With every event, there's an opportunity for Melody to share the same cultural pride that her mother first instilled in her.
I think the surprising part is seeing how still today, in 50 years of doing this work, how many folks kind of, for the first time, are seeing themselves, their culture, as valid. And when you understand that, you move differently in the world.
For Latinas, I'm Andrea Ortega-Williams.
Have you ever heard of Garífunas? The Garifuna people are an Afro-Indigenous community with deep roots in the Caribbean and Central America. Their language, music, dance, and storytelling traditions have been passed down for generations and have been officially recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage, helping protect and preserve Garifuna culture worldwide. And right here in New York City, Garifuna identity continues to thrive, reminding us that Caribbean culture is rich, layered, and alive. February is the month of love, and licensed marriage and family therapist Nicole Maldonado is here to share some tips about how to build healthy and meaningful relationships with a new special someone.
As human beings, we are creatures of connection, right? We thrive off being around people, family relationships, friendship relationships, romantic relationships, children relationships. We're not meant to be alone. So enjoy the relationship, have fun with your partner, have fun in their company. And if this is something that you do see as a substantial or a serious relationship, and have that expectations talk. Ask your partner, it's what do you want to achieve in the short term, in the next 3 to 6 months? Expectations should always be talked about in terms of their short-term goals. Where do they see this relationship going? What is the type of relationship they want to have? Do they want to have a traditional monogamous relationship? Do they want to have an open relationship? Is this just a purely sexual relationship, or is this going to be both a sexual and intimate relationship? Also, looking if they do decide to have a traditional monogamous relationship, then what are the expectations for a long-term, what are their long-term goals? Do they both want to get married, not get married? Children, not children? What is the life that they both see each other living? This is a good exercise for any type of couple to do, because that shows the compatibility of a couple. It's do we really match well together? Do our personalities match well together? And is this a sustainable long-term relationship, or is this only for the short-term relationship? The first year of a relationship is always a really critical period too, because you do test out those major pillars of a relationship: trust, respect, communication, intimacy, all of that stuff. It kind of leaves both individuals asking, okay, is this something that I should continue to engage in if I do see a future with this person? Or is this something that we just want to engage in a short-term relationship and call it a day after a couple months? Which again, that's all well and fine too, but as long as it's within both people's decision to do that. I've worked with a lot of couples where there's hope for change, right? Maybe they don't see some of those expectations, maybe they have different goals, or just differences in opinions, differences in communication patterns. There's always a hope that things will get better and things maybe will change. But when I do talk to couples about whether we should stay in this or not, if the relationship is not serving both individuals, if there's just too much differences, if there's not enough compatibility, then that's usually a case where you would want to question, okay, is this something that we should continue in or not, if the differences are that substantial. Don't rush into relationships. That's something I tell a lot of clients. And enjoy getting to know the person, really learn the person, learn how they solve problems, observe people, because that builds trust. A relationship is like a garden, so you have to put the work in every single day for it. But the more you learn about that partner, and the more you learn about yourself and what do you want in a relationship, that can kind of help gear the path towards what the long term can be.
Real Dominican pride is about owning every part of who you are, even when family pressures and society tell you not to. 4 Dominicanas from Baruch College are about to dish on self-love, Afro-Latina style, in today's Real Talk Sin Filtro.
In my family, I have light skin tone, but my sisters, they have a darker skin tone. So one thing that we heard when we were growing up is
La blanquita.
Ajá, la blanquita, la morenita, la negrita. Those denominations, those names, they've always aggravated me so much because why do you want to define me because of my skin tone?
Because of my skin tone.
To me, being Afro-Latina, it also plays a big role because yes, I'm Dominican, but I have African descendant, and like my hair plays a big role. And I think when it comes to hair and Latinos, it also has like, oh, moño malo, pelo malo. And then that's in a stigma because it's like, being Afro-Latina, yes, your hair is part of it, and we need to learn how to embrace it.
I hated having curly hair. None of my friends in school had curly hair like me. So while I was growing up, I always made sure to tell my mom, oh, straighten my hair, straighten my hair. I don't want to have curls. And I always tried as much as possible to not let a little bit of water follow my nicely blowed out hair because I feel like that was gonna damage it.
I actually have a little cousin. She has a darker skin tone, and she also has like an afro. And our family makes it like their mission to every time that they see her, y tú no te peinas, you don't do your hair. And I'm like, leave her alone. Like, and I always tell her, or like, oh, tú tienes el pelo bueno, tú tienes el pelo malo. I was like, there's no such thing as bad hair, good hair, no. Like, never let people talk down on your hair. Like, your hair is one of the things that makes you beautiful, like your skin tone too. Like, there's no need to separate. We're all Dominican. We all come in different skin tones. We all look different, and yeah.
Okay, I think it's the fact that sometimes people don't want to be like related to Haitian people. Like, oh, if you're Haitian, you're bad. If you're Asian, you're black. It's like that is stigma.
Back in the day, our great-grandparents, our grandparents grew up with Trujillo, and like the history of the Dominican Republic of how we got our independence and all of that. And I feel like from that point on, they've seen the Haitians and Haiti overall as like the bad side of the island.
Yeah. And like, I don't, you can't go over there. And
yes. So they make them such a big deal if you cross the border. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know they're criminals. They're this. Like, it's crazy. And I'm glad, like, us as a younger generation, we're breaking that stigma. And we're like, no, that's not right. And a human being should not be treated that way because of the color of their skin.
We see like such different cultures all the time. So it's like we live with people, you know, and we know that not everybody's like that, and we don't need that prejudice.
For example, when it came here, it was a different perspective because here, no pelo malo, no pelo malo. People were like, oh, I love your hair, I love your hair. And I was like, really?
Once I came here, that my friends all had curly hair out of sudden, I was like, oh, I want curly hair now. Yeah. So the process of getting back my curls, I was like, why did I ever take them away? Like, why was I not proud of them? So now I interchange.
Yes, that's definitely something too that I'm becoming more proud of is my curly hair. And like sometimes I try to remind myself, no, like that is beautiful too. And the fact that you have curly hair sets you apart from like the rest. But it's like, no, standing out is good. Like, you know, it makes you different and that is good.
Puerto Rican filmmaker Elaine del Valle is bringing her Brooklyn roots to the big screen. Correspondent Anny Ruiz Huayamabe sat down with Elaine to discuss Brownsville Bred, a film rooted in family, identity, and the power of following your dreams.
Camera's back here. Puerto Rican filmmaker Elaine del Valle is gaining attention with her latest film, Brownsville Bred.
So this is your story. This is the little girls in the 80s growing up in Brooklyn. What makes you thought that you needed to make this a film?
Yes, my girlhood in Brooklyn and my story with my dad. It's really an homage to the neighborhood, the community, and the era that I grew up in, and also all little Latinas who need to see themselves on screen, which is so rare now.
301 Sutter Avenue, between Rockaway and Mother Gaston.
Inspired by her childhood in the projects during the 1980s, Del Valle adapted her personal story from a solo off-Broadway show into a powerful film.
You know, I grew up in a black neighborhood, so I knew very distinctly that my culture was very different from everyone else's. And it was filled with music and love and religion, even though we didn't need to go to church.
The story follows Elaine as she nears becoming a teenager, facing her father's absence, family struggles, and big dreams while embracing her Puerto Rican roots.
This island helped heal me. And I hope it can help heal us too.
The movie starts out with the words, everybody has a story.
And this one is mine.
It's not to say that I had the most amazing life. It's to say that every life is worth valuing and examining and looking at and growing from. That is what people are taking away from this film, as well as appreciating their family.
For Del Valle, representation, it's not just about visibility, it's about empowerment and healing.
For people to see themselves larger than life on a big screen really adds to the value of who they are for themselves. It's a psychological effect of being able to see themselves as their own heroes of their own stories, which is not something that, Hollywood is usually doing.
Brownsville Bred is making waves beyond Brooklyn.
Thank you, the Golden Globes and the Hollywood Foreign Press for being here for our press conference for Brownsville Bred.
Earning critical praise and a spot on this year's Oscar eligibility list.
Brownsville Bred is, as far as I know, the only Latina-directed U.S. live-action narrative to even be eligible for Oscars through theatrical release. And that's really saying a lot. You know how they say thank you just to be nominated is an honor? Just to be eligible is an honor.
Through Elaine del Valle's voice, Brownsville Bred tells a powerful story of family, resiliency, and identity. For Latinas, I'm Anny Ruiz Huayamabe.
Latinas like Grace Bonilla are changing the face of leadership in New York City. Bonilla has spent her career breaking barriers in public service and nonprofits, including helping guide one of the city's most historic mayoral transitions. Correspondent Isabel Ortiz has the story of this Inspiración Latina.
What I realized was that we have an entire community of people who are giving to the city, making the city better, who don't get information in their own language.
Raised in Queens by immigrant parents, Grace learned early that access to information is essential. Without a clear pathway into public service, she drew inspiration from the everyday service she saw at home.
When I was growing up, we were very much about service, even with the little that we had. So when families came over for the first time that were friends of theirs, they lived in our house. When a cousin back in Ecuador needed money for uniforms, we all kind of pulled our money together. I wanted to be the person who was still receiving information, but made it easier for people to understand regardless of the country they came from or the neighborhood they lived in.
Grace's work led her to City Hall, where she co-chaired Mayor Zohran Mamdani's transition team, helping transform campaign promises into a working administration.
When I got the call from Mayor-elect Mamdani, it was like, oh yeah, sure, like of course, what do you need me to do? Like I'm ready to roll up my sleeves. And I think it wasn't until we were standing in front of the Sphere at Flushing Meadow Park that I was like, oh wait, this is a different transition.
I'm honored to be part of a transition team and eager to work with you to build an administration that will work tirelessly to ensure working New Yorkers can finally afford to live and raise their families in the city that they love.
And for people who are unfamiliar with what exactly a co-chair does during this transition period, what is your role?
We have 400 other people that we've also brought together that are subject matter experts. I've sat in a number of those meetings, facilitating those conversations. I'm also in the process of interviewing deputy mayors that could take the administration to the next level as of January 1st. So it's a lot about advising him on who we think is the best talent from our vantage point. What do you want to do in the first 100 days? What do you want to do in 4 years? And how do we space these priorities out?
For Grace, leadership has always been about humility. Listening first, learning consistently, and showing up authentically.
I've worked with leaders who, because of their own experience, develop almost like an arrogance of like, I already know your story. And I never want to walk into a space that way. I always want to walk into a space where I come in with a blank slate, learning from the people that are doing the work every day or who are living in the community that I'm visiting.
Today, Grace is the first Latina to be president and CEO of the United Way of New York City, a nonprofit that provides resources to communities across the 5 boroughs.
I definitely felt how meaningful it was for people that there was a Latina at United Way, was the type of organizations that came to us to tell us their story so they could receive funding or so that we can help them with their advocacy or with their funding. There are amazing Latinas leading organizations today across the city of New York in all sorts of hats, right? Some of them are focused on legal services, some of them are focused on serving immigrants, some of them are focused on workforce. So I feel a huge sense of privilege that when those leaders are looking around, they're like, oh, we can go to Grace and ask the questions that I can't ask my board, that I can't ask my staff. So I take that responsibility very, very seriously.
For the next generation of Latina leaders, Grace offers a clear message.
Show up authentically, right? Like, we need your voice more than ever. Show up as who you are. Be ready to learn, because there's so much to learn, but don't compromise on your values. And it's something that has really helped me. Just be resilient and build your tribe. Build your tribe early. Because you're gonna wanna have people that knew you before, named the title, who remind you about who you are.
For LATiNAS, I'm Isabel Ortiz.
During the month of February, Fashion Week takes over New York City, and Cuban designer Yaimara Muñoz is making a powerful statement with her sustainable fashion brand, which blends eco-conscious design with her Afro-Caribbean heritage. It's fashion with a purpose.
Mi nombre es Yaimara Muñoz, soy de origen cubano y vivo en España, en Europa hace más de 20 años y estoy entre Cuba, España y Nueva York en estos momentos. Yo creo que desde pequeña tenía siempre buena atracción con los zapatos, me gustaba jugar con ellos, pero realmente el boom más fuerte fue en el 2007 que inicié con mi primera marca que se llama Yaimara Shoes y empecé a desarrollar zapatos a medida. Lo bueno de que cuando estás creando diseños para distintas mujeres, logras trasladarte y entender un poco incluso la cultura de cada una y eso me permite ser un poco más versátil en los diseños. Unas veces soy más cubana porque quiero que tenga muchos colores, otras veces soy un poco más europea porque me gustan las líneas limpias y soy bastante minimalista. Entonces yo creo que va a depender mucho siempre de mi emoción o lo que yo quiero en ese momento sacar. Yo creo que nosotros, casi todos los cubanos, siempre hemos sido muy presumidos. Y una de las cosas que cuando empecé a hacer la tercera marca, que se llama Marabú hecho en Cuba, lo que me llamó la atención exactamente fue que la nueva generación estaba mejor vestida que en mi época y sobre todo actualizado de materia prima, sabiendo qué es lo que está consumiendo y cuál es el estilo que quería llevar. Creo que tenemos que ser más conscientes con lo que está pasando con el planeta porque es algo que es evidente, no lo estamos cuidando. Por ejemplo, nosotros trabajamos con la fibra natural, que solamente es una fibra que se produce en Cuba. Y debido a lo que no tenemos a veces de recursos, nos convertimos en una de las primeras marcas más sostenibles porque no utilizamos absolutamente nada que tenga que ver con los químicos. En este caso, con Marabú hecho en Cuba, ese es el concepto. Bueno, Nueva York es de las ciudades que te tiene todo el tiempo en acción. Es increíble la energía que voy produciendo todos los días a nivel creativo. Soy de las personas que me monto en el metro, que me pierdo en Chinatown. Y entonces todas esas cosas, llego a la casa y digo, tengo que dibujar, tengo que hacer algo porque tengo un montón de ideas que igual se me van a pasar. Lo primero que le diría a una latina, que por favor que se esfuerce por aprender, por estudiar, por estar abierta a lo que es la preparación que conlleva un trabajo como es el diseño, porque no solamente es bonito lo que es el dibujo, sino tienes que saber muchas otras cosas más que van a hacer que tu negocio funcione o no funcione. Y sí que es verdad que la gente se condiciona mucho, es que el hecho de ser latina, el hecho del acento en el inglés, pero son simplemente comentarios y sigues tu camino y yo creo que los sueños se realizan con constancia y con perseverancia.
And that's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu. Follow us on social or download the CUNY TV app and watch Latinas 24/7. And definitely make sure you tune in next month. We'll meet a pastor dedicated to supporting immigrant communities, hear from National Poet Laureate Stephanie Pacheco, and so much more. ¡Uepa! Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye. If you like what you just saw, and to support your favorite programming here at CUNY TV, please consider donating at tv.cuny.edu/donate.